We're back! Sorry.
Right.
I'm going to strangle somebody at Vodafone tomorrow because my internet is, it's like trying to walk up the Andes. It's up and down. Hey!
Do you know that first part, how it's all mucked up? I'll just put something in the notes to say fast forward the first 3 minutes. That's dead.
We should put adverts at the start of this show.
No, but
We start selling stuff.
Should I download it and then delete it to edit that 3 minutes, or just put it in the show notes? It's going to be dead air.
People don't expect us to be professional.
But people are going to go, it's like leaving, they're just going to switch off. No?
Yeah, just tell them this. The first 3 minutes is my fault.
Right.
They're pretty used to that, but what were we talking about a minute ago?
Just talking about Lennon changing the tactics at half time.
I think Neil Lennon, I mean...
Depends what time we actually went off.
Do you know what, though? Do you know what I think? It's my personal opinion. I think that Neil Lennon has become a better manager the less media attention is focused on him. This is the first year we've had so far. What are you talking about?
Skype up.
Bring Skype up.
Because there's somebody's gone mad there.
I don't know. Who's wearing a headset? Somebody wearing... You eating crisps at the same time?
Nah, I'm alright.
Somebody got a headset on? Whatever you're doing, stop touching the microphone.
It's Paul, because Paul's lighting up, so whatever's happening with Paul.
Paul's in a heart attack at the PC.
Do you know we've been off the air for ages, by the way?
Have we? How long?
Aye. Well, people, I got text messages 15 minutes ago saying they sound.
Really?
I don't know.
No,
I can hardly hear a word you're saying, to be honest. Like,
that's a nightmare.
I think it's just, you can't have so many callers on the same time. You've got to drop them and add them.
It's because Joe's crap internet.
But I pay good money for this
I'm
internet.
not caring.
I know you're not caring. But anyway,
That's
listen.
the fact. It doesn't go happen in my house.
Alright, okay.
In the banks of the bank.
We're attacked by zombies. Show us off the air for 5 minutes.
Mhm.
With there you go, 5 minutes.
But we don't do walking away.
Exactly. Anyway, Neil Lennon said, I think this year Neil Lennon's not under so much bigoted pressure because he's not a rival to any bigots. So I think he's pretty the first year he's able to stretch his managerial legs in terms of like without a lot of pressure. Am I wrong or right?
Probably.
No, can't disagree with that.
Usually everything you say is wrong. I wasn't even listening to what you said.
I know, well,
It's totally rubbish.
That's what it's the usual.
Okay, somebody say something interesting then.
I know, we have
So
to
we,
get back
so,
to
we,
the
so,
floor
we,
here.
so we can get the fans back online.
I think the other night when Lenny changed it at half time, he'd obviously recognised that their fullback was getting forward quite a lot in the first half, and what he did was bringing Forrest on. Forrest just totally occupied that guy. He couldn't get forward, and it switched the tables. It meant we were going forward. We were causing him problems. So I think Lenny, I agree with Jason, he deserves a huge amount of credit for that. I didn't see that coming myself at half time. I just thought we need to do something, but I thought it was quite a bold move, and tip of the hat to Lenny for that.
Absolutely, and see when you cry out for that, Terry, it never happens, doesn't it? No, you always sit in the stands and say, why do we not change it and attack them? And it's all right saying it against teams like Barcelona, because the reason you don't attack them is because you can't attack them, because they're that bloody good. You know, they're all over the place. But when you're playing a team like Helsingborg, and no disrespect to them, but in the grand scheme of European football, they aren't very good. You know, and we're a better team than them. And we've got nothing to fear. I know people are trying to use analogies like Ajax, because I was in Amsterdam when we won 3-1 and then we lost the first goal there, but Ajax had a good side. This Helsingborg team aren't a good side. You know, we could take them to the cleaners on Wednesday night, but we need to be professional about it, and we need to just keep to our task, and then we're home and hose, surely. We're not getting beat 3-0 at home.
What it did make me think was that although I'm not saying they're a poor side, I think they're an average, just what I thought, type side for Scandinavia, fit. But what concerned me was in that first half, it was just how poor the central defence looked, and it made me think, we need two centre-halves. We need somebody with pace. I just think Ronya will never make it. I just think he's not got that basic requirement of pace. He can maybe read the game no bad, and he's no bad in the air. I think he's just too slow, and I don't like saying that about a young player, but I just think he's not going to make it. I think we need somebody with pace. And I noticed we're linked to that Japanese guy, Yoshida, and the Nigerian guy. The Nigerian guy, I don't know much about his pedigree, and I know the footage on YouTube can be misleading, but that Nigerian looks as if he could, he's really pacey, and I always like that in players because it covers a multitude of sins. So I just hope we get priority centre-half. Like Tony Watt has made me feel the centre forward position isn't as vital, but I think we'll sign both a centre half and a centre forward, and it's only going to be good for Celtic.
Listen, can I cut in, Harper? What they're saying is the guys in the Celtic Mind it in the thread, they're all saying it's went back to the start. They're listening to us at the start.
And they need to refresh and press
play
on the new ones.
It's a different sort of
it's a different
it's called part 2 now.
If they refresh the page, it'll show above it that we're getting live, and just press play on the one above it. Because I'm actually on it now.
I'm actually glad they still want to listen to us.
No, but as you say, Paul, what do you think, mate? You've been sitting quiet there, sorry.
I can't hear anybody talking, that's why.
Really?
No, and I'm getting dogs abuse on Twitter for all this as well. No, I totally disagree with Helsingborg. I think they're not a bad side. I wouldn't go overboard about the fact we're winning 2-0 because, you know, this is Celtic and we didn't do anything smoothly, and this is the Champions League, and, you know, I would be concerned if we lost a goal, but we shouldn't. But, you know, I thought the thing about Kyle, for me, that was kind of last when Harper asked me, was the fact that Kyle's job is to break up attacks for the opposition and by good measure also start our attacks. And I don't think he's in the role now that he is to do that, because Wanyama's now doing that. So I'm not really sure what kind of role Kyle's going to sort of have in the team as it goes on, because he's certainly not an attacking midfielder. He's certainly not really a goal-scoring midfielder, so I'm not sure where they'll kind of fit him. But I agree with what Terry says. I would think it's a bit harsh on Rodner, because I do think he'll be in. But we definitely need a centre-half, because Mulgrew will never be a centre-half as long as he's got a hole in his you-know-what, because he's getting dragged out of position far too much when he comes up against anybody with experience. And the gaps that he left in that first half are unbelievable last week. When he pushed forward in the centre midfield, I mean, that to me was the tactical change that made us look good, because we took him out and that plugged the gap and then gave him the freedom to push up and down. But as to whether we win 3 or 4-0 Wednesday, I don't know. I think probably 2-1, 2-0 will be our best bet.
I'd be very surprised if it was close to that. I just didn't see anything in that team at all, honestly. They didn't look any better than a St Mirren or a very low Scottish Premier League team to me, honestly.
No, I wouldn't agree with you. I mean, this is a team that hasn't lost a game, has lost one game in 2 years at home. First Swedish team to win the treble, you know what I mean? So I think we'd probably take credit away for our performance by saying they're so poor. I think if they'd had a decent striker, they probably would have beat us.
I don't know. I think you're. I don't know, Paul.
We could have scored. We could have scored 5.
I think, but for Fraser Forrester, it would have been a different game.
Oh, definitely, because we didn't play well.
And I was delighted that Neil Lennon made mention of the England prospects. But after the game, I think about Neil Lennon. He champions players in that respect.
I think it's good for the club. I mean, you know, apart from the fact that it increases their value if they get international caps, Martin O'Neill did it all the time. You know, it talks the value of the players up, talks the value of the club up. The more internationals, the better, as far as I'm concerned. Probably got the least amount of internationals in a Celtic team in a long, long time right now.
But
by that I mean current internationals.
You're totally right, because I think Martin O'Neill more or less got Alan Thompson his England debut, which he, you know, then ballsed up by being, you know, not good. But I mean, I think you're right though.
Harry Redknapp's still master of that, isn't he? Mind he was when he was West Ham manager. He ended up making Rio Ferdinand into a £30-odd million player. Every week at the end of the game, you couldn't buy him. Next thing that day, Risdale came in with about a £25 million bid. Now Harry must think he might have been on a cut of that, I'm not too sure, but
I think Harry's got some sort of, I don't know, African witch working on his behalf, because everything he says, people believe.
But just incidentally, I don't know if any of you seen my pal, see if you're watching the Inverness game, see when the full Celtic crowd's in the huddle.
Yes.
Did you see the one guy with the baldy head just standing looking all glum?
I did, yeah.
That's my good mate Fletch. We shouted to Fletch.
Is he? He looks like a party animal.
He gets some pelters for it, so he did. John Hartson, he gets called.
Brilliant.
What the
heck is that?
Point out that I actually phoned up about. I was wanting to speak to Paul tonight. I don't know if you can hear me, but hi Paul. I must say I didn't know when I phoned up last week. I didn't know who you were about your stuff, but I listened to the Beyond the Waves podcast, and I I've got myself up to speed now with some of the stuff that you've written, and fair play to you, mate, and just wanted to say well done in the books that you've written. It says, but you brought up something last week on Beyond the Waves show when you were talking about your upcoming book, the By Any Means Necessary, that I thought was really interesting and will probably prompt me to buy the book, was when you mentioned that you were talking to a referee, and he says you wouldn't believe just the scale of the corruption and the cheating that goes on and the organised manner of that cheating. I'm paraphrasing here, but it was along the lines of an Enron. And I just think we saw an example of that yesterday where, and I've always said this, you don't need to be a Rangers supporter to make decisions that favour Rangers. All you need to be is a referee that knows where his bread's buttered. And that guy yesterday, forgot his name. Mike Tumulty, he's actually English, I think. And guys like him and John Underhill, I've seen make decisions before that defy belief. You think to yourself, why would they make that decision? And the reason they make that decision is because they know if they make a decision against Rangers, even if it's a legitimate decision, then that affects your career. Because the unwritten rule is, you make a decision against Rangers, you can effectively forget about getting big games. And that's exactly what happened. So that was like the old let's get out of jail for free card. Normally it works because there's always a bit of a skirmish in the box and you can point to a jersey getting pulled. But yesterday there was nothing there. He blew the whistle while the ball was still in the air. Classic. I've seen it 100 times. It's just corruption or it's cowardice. It's one of the two. That wasn't a mistake. He knew what he was doing. And as I say, fair play to you. I listened to the podcast and I got an appreciation of what you're like, and fair play to you, mate. Well done for
the whole thing with what I wanted to do was with the book that's coming in terms of referees. I think the world we live in now, people forget things so quickly. Most people have forgotten the fact that our manager, somebody tried to murder him last 2 seasons ago, and so I thought I had to, by talking about the last 4 years in this current book that's coming up, I had to have some kind of thing to go back to remind people just how bad it used to be before, there was a seismic change, not just in the way things were done, but in terms of the way that Celtic supporters were able to address them. And this guy that I know is, grade 1 referee and all that, done all the whole thing. And some of the stuff that's all going to be at the start of the book is absolutely mind-boggling that you'll read. And I love the fact that having kind of seen it all, it just reads so factually that it would be impossible for anybody to challenge it. And we're talking about, it's not about people sitting in rooms and saying we're going to snooker Celtic or we're going to promote Rangers. It's about an accepted knowledge that that's what you do within the SFA to go on, is that you scupper Celtic at every opportunity and you make sure Rangers are okay. And I've got 7 or 8 examples of that related to factual incidents that happened that nobody will know about until they read this, that'll include people, right from your Hugh Dallases to your Bobby Tates, to all these guys who were systematically corrupt and biased against Celtic deliberately.
Mind-blowing.
But don't we know?
I've got a wee exclusive. Well, no, I'm not going to name any names, but I know somebody that was a grade 1 referee, or I don't grade. He ran the line in loads of games, and our centenary season was his last season, and I'm sure he kept his flag down for one of our goals against him. I'll not mention what game it was, but we were offside, and he kept his flag down because he says, "I'm getting one right up them before the end, before I pack it in." And he said it was rife.
Jason, I can tell you now there's a grade 1, is that what you call a linesman? He's a grade 1 linesman. There's a linesman currently in the SPL who's been there at least 10 years, and he's SPL every single week, and he was my supervisor when I worked in Scotland.
You pointed him out in one game.
And he's an ex-Rangers season ticket holder when he was younger. I can tell you that right now.
Well, even the best one was Jim McCluskey. Jim McCluskey got arrested at an Orange Walk.
I know, but see the guy I'm talking about, though, to be fair, the guy I'm talking about, I try and watch him, and I'm desperate for him to do something so I can say, "You hunting season ticket holder." But nah, he seems to be pretty fair, and he was a decent guy. And Charlie Smith's his name. I might as well shout him.
I don't know if you can still hear me, but I was at a trial one time. Needless to say, it wasn't my trial. I was just on the jury.
You were the judge?
And, I was in the jury, and No, you have a break and you're sitting talking and that. So this guy's sitting next to me, and I don't know why, but he assumed that I was a Hun. It was the first time ever.
Is that why? Here, Terry. Is that why you have no picture?
I'm not a Hun. But anyway, he was like, he says, like, my mate's ref in the game, and he said, we're playing Hearts, and it was Brian Winters was the referee. He says, Celtic will get nothing tonight. I was like, he says, I mean, Brian used to be like season book holders, used to go to all the games together. I was like, I'm a Celtic supporter. He's like, oh, I'm only kidding. I said, you're only kidding now that you know I'm a Celtic supporter. But he wasn't kidding. He was serious when he was talking about it. I mean, I've always said I'm probably one of the, if no the, original paranoid fundamentalist, and that's always been my thing down the years.
It's all your fault.
Challenge referees. I mean, that's why I get barred off.
See the thing about it, right, is. See, the thing about it is that what I'll hope to be able to show in this book with this particular part is that being a biased referee isn't giving penalties to teams. It's no chalking of obvious goals and all that. There's a way to do it that no fans can notice. And I hope to be able to point this out, how that's done in this book. Because when I heard that, I was just blown away, but I just couldn't understand it. And just the way that referees talk about certain things, and how a prime example was the whole the day we won at Love Street and all that kind of thing, and the referee for the Dundee Hearts game that year was replaced at last minute. Bill Crombie was a big Hearts supporter, and there was a chatter amongst Jim McCluskey and a couple of other guys that went along the lines of, who they were refereeing at Raith Rovers that day, they went along the lines of, I see Big Bill Crombie's a referee at Danes Park, that's Hearts definitely won the league. To which his linesman, Jim McCluskey's linesman, replied, well, if they didn't win the league, it's your fault. And he said, why? He said, because I ran the line for you for Park on Wednesday when Celtic were playing, and you gave him a penalty you shouldn't have. And McCluskey says to him, but it was a penalty. And the linesman replied, but you could have got away with no getting it. And that's the kind of thing that was just accepted. A bit like institutional racism amongst the Met Police and stuff. It's a bit like that, where you didn't have to say to somebody, you must be biased. They just expect it, and they expected you to join, other societies and stuff to make your life easier as well.
Paul, can I come in again? I've always said when I'm discussing referees in Scotland, I've discussed it with referees. I've said where a lot of the decisions take place, and you're right, it's not always blatant, like penalties and what have you. Where a lot of the decisions fall in is between these two terms, the benefit of the doubt and the application of the law. Mm-hmm. Now, give the semi-final against Hearts. Yeah. If it's Rangers playing Hearts, the ball hits off a Rangers player, struck for less than a yard away. The benefit of the doubt is the ball played the man, no the ball. The man played the ball. The application of the rules is the ball. The guy was deliberately handling it. Penalty to Hearts. Now, it can be explained away, and it's that type of stuff where they take the opportunity to apply. It's like sending offs. You can send a guy off by the application of the law, or keep him on the park for the benefit of doubt. And the amount of decisions that fall into that bracket, that's where your bias lies for the most part.
Can I just cut in? Sorry, lads. Can I just cut in here? I want to bring Chris Kiyama into the conversation here, because he's been on the lane for about 20 minutes. And nobody. What are you doing, you lunatic? Harper's trying to kill a fly.
It's a fly. It's not
with a tennis racket.
It's not a dinosaur.
Anyway, sorry. I want to cut across.
It shows you the kind of person Joe is that has a tennis racket.
No, it's a tennis racket to kill flies. Aye. Chris, are you there?
I am, yeah.
Sorry for keeping you waiting so long, mate.
No, that's alright. I've been listening to this debate. I was going to talk about the Helsingborg game, but this is far more interesting.
So, jump here. Listen, it's the HomeBhoys jump straight in. I hate having to make invitations. People just jump in and say hello.
I told you that at the start. You need to bring people in more. You need to be more.
That's what we're waiting on, Joe.
Why is it me? Why is it me? You're here too.
You're sitting at the controls.
And you're sitting 30 inches away from me.
No. You're in control. You're the director. So, Chris.
That's your cop-out, isn't it? Mm-hmm. Chris, sorry, mate. What did you want to talk about? Do you want to contribute to the conversation, or did you want to talk about Helsingborg?
No, I'm happy to sit back and wait, because that's far more interesting.
Fantastic, right, lads? I'm sure I've totally destroyed that conversation completely. Yeah, we've also been joined by Tommy in Glasgow. Tommy, you there? No, he's not.
Tommy?
Tommy?
Hello?
Are you there, Tommy?
Yes, hello, can you hear me?
Oh, of course we can hear you. We can hear you. We can turn Skype off and hear you. What do you want to talk about, Tommy?
Tommy's on to talk about voodoo economics.
I love that. I hear Tommy, far away, mate. You're a highlight of the show sometimes. What do you want to talk about, mate?
No, hello to everybody. Is that Terry O'Neill, the famous Terry O'Neill, who phones into Radio Schneid as well? Yeah.
Used to.
Hi, Tommy. I've never met you, but I'm a long-time admirer. You're cut for the same cloth as I am, mate.
Definitely, brother. And Paul Larkin, how you doing as well, brother? Nice to speak
Not
to you.
bad, Tommy. How's yourself? Good.
Yeah, cool. Well, thanks for taking me on. Yeah, just carry on with your stuff. If you want me to contribute, I'm just I'm part of the fundamentalist internet bandpots, so I'm There's one point I'd love to make is the new site is absolutely tremendous. Absolutely, it's beautiful. Well done.
That was actually one of the guys, young Josh Gaffney, who does the Paradise Preview podcast. He done all that for just a young guy. He does it as a hobby, and I have to say that the site is up there with some of the best on the internet, and it's only 80% done. There's still loads of really nice features to be added, and I'll tell you, in the next couple of weeks, it's going to be a hub that the guys who put all the work into all these podcasts deserve. And we're really, really happy with it. Thanks for bringing that up, Tommy.
I remember straight after the Craig White call when I was on speaking to you, and I said that's one of the things that Celtic fans should aim to aspire to. And hats off to everybody who's done just that. You know, having everybody together, all the podcasts together, everybody doing it and contributing. It's a way forward, and it's helped defeat Real Radio, and God willing, it's going to help defeat Clyde.
Hopefully, man. I mean, we see our numbers going up steadily every week, and to be honest, I think last week we 36,000 views and downloads. We're just under 250,000 since January, right?
Are we?
Fantastic. And we're only scratching the surface. I mean, Jason will tell you. Jason be quite busy on Celtic Minded, right? I'm more at a lurker. I only kind of go to certain threads. But Jason will tell you the amount of people they've never heard of this show. Do you know what I mean?
I've heard it now. There's a 3-page thread going on about it now. It gave me dogs abuse.
Why?
Saying the sounds away again.
Someone's saying the sounds away again. We're still on air.
Tommy, can I ask Tommy a question? Can you hear me, Tommy?
Yes, Terry, on you go, yeah.
It always fascinated me, Tommy, because I was always thinking about how I could go on Clyde, but no as Terry O'Neill as somebody else. They always seem to suss my name. But I'm going to take my hat off to you. The amount of times I thought he must be using different phones all the time, or phoning for different houses. So I was wanting to ask you, how did you actually get on when the kind of FD called Caven's a soup taker?
Yeah, I was send die after that. I was basically send die straight after. He's like, you'll never get back on here. And well, the way I've always done it is just wait to get another SIM card. And the SIM cards I get less than 50 pence off one of my mates. I used to be getting them at 10 pence a SIM card, but that good deal ran out a while ago. But so I'm paying 10 bob a SIM card, and then I just got a fiver on a skydiver on there, and then that's me causing mayhem whenever it goes. Is Jack, Joe, Paul, Robert, Eddie, Tommy, whoever. I mean, just
you're some man.
See when you go on, Tommy, to start with, you go on and I don't suss it's you to start with, but then about 3 minutes into you tipple and you just go and want to rant. And sometimes they let you go for a bit longer than I expected to let you go, but then it's the big drink. And we've lost Tommy there.
Wait a minute, Jason, what do you mean? What are you doing listening to that like?
Somebody puts a podcast up. they the links on Celtic Mind that you never miss an appearance to Tommy. Oh, that's
no podcast, just a wee bit of the podcasting that they put up.
Aye, they just put a wee bit so that you can listen. It's superb.
Listen, we're kind of rambling here, right? You've maybe noticed we introed with the stuff for the 6-2 game, which is actually 12 years to the day. Can you believe that?
I feel unbelievably old. I'm only 33.
The intro we had today, we used the wee bits of audio for the 6 goals, and I think I'd just like to go around the kind of table with everybody. Like, I mean, 12 years ago.
I'd like to kick off with Tommy.
Right, okay. Tommy. 12 years ago, your memory.
What year was that? So that was 2002.
What year is this?
My Wayne's ages were, I think, 5, 3 and 1.
No, it was a millennium. It was 2000. It was 12 years ago. 2000.
Well, I had 3 babies, put it that way. A baby who was just born, just about to be born, and another 2 I dropped him off my ma's. And before I could get back to mines, they were 2-0 up. And as I was running into the house, I heard another scream, and it was 3-0 up, and I couldn't believe it. I gave up my ticket, as I said, I dumped the Wayne's after my ma's, and I thought I'll get back here and watch a game and get peace and quiet. Before I could get there, it was 3-0, and it was one of the days. It was absolutely beautiful. It was just...
Tommy, I had something kind of similar to you. I missed the first 3 goals as well. I was working in the glassworks at the time, and I was to get away early for the game. And I'd left my house keys, because I had this big 50-inch television.
Because you're a swinger, that's why.
Right, I'd left my house keys to all my mates, because I had this big 50-inch television, and they wanted to watch it there. So I got a taxi up the road. By the time I got to the house, it was 3-0. There was actually, I swear to God, I'm not lying, there was actually Buckfast dripping off my ceiling. Somebody had smashed a bottle of Buckfast off the roof. No, smashed it, but no, it was all alright. And I went in, it was actually Buckfast dripping off the ceiling. I'll never forget that day. I mean, who else wants to pop in? Jason, was you actually pointing out to me this morning?
Yeah, I was at the game, me and my youngest brother, and absolutely, that was the day sort of we arrived. That was the day, Matt, but you just knew. Mm-hmm. You just knew it was, it was tremendous. But see, when you look back, it could have been so much different, because they got a goal disallowed just before half time. It could have made it 3-2, but brilliant. And after the game, we all went down the Gallagher and then into the town. And what a night, what a party. 6-2, that's the song for me. That's what we're singing all night, just dancing about all the way down Argyle Street. It was absolutely brilliant. And back to one of the locals, and I think we got a lock in that night, but they're just days you'll never forget. And putting 6 by them, I've never seen them putting 6 by us, so that was absolutely brilliant.
It's a JFK moment. I mean, that's how these things are described as a Celtic fan, isn't it?
One of my first blogs on the Lost Boys was about this.
Didn't even have a blog then.
On Lost Boys?
12 years ago?
No, one of my first...
I
didn't say 12 years ago.
Was there even internet then?
I said one of my first blogs on the Lost Boys was about the 6-2 game.
Okay. Sorry, man.
Just say, I watched it in Rocky Sullivan's in New York.
Did you?
It was insane. It was insane. It was dating a girl. My wife's standing here, by the way. Was dating a girl, an English girl. Yo. And I was like, let's get up in the morning, watch Celtic match. And she was like, what? I was like, watch Celtic match? It's 6 in the morning. So we made our way over to Manhattan from Queens. And I was wearing a pair of cords, very similar to the ones I'm wearing right now. And when the first goal went in, I jumped up and somebody obviously grabbed hold of the back of my trousers and literally ripped the arse out of them. Like a flap. But I was bouncing around the rest of the day going nuts. And then the gay parade march came past the front of Rocky Sullivan's after the final whistle went off. So we started grabbing all these gay guys off the street and pouring them champagne over their heads. All these lunatics.
I probably thought you were wearing a pair of chaps.
Would you care to explain that for the uneducated there, Derek?
It's kind of poof trousers that like.
That's cut out of them.
But the thing is, it was a brilliant day, and like that girl Denise, the girl from Manchester, she was like, I've never seen anything like this in my life. And the highlight of after the game was some girl got on top of a chair, put a pint of Guinness in her head, spun around, full speed, and didn't spill a single drop on top of a stool. I was like, this is unreal. But then I had to get the train, the subway back to Brooklyn. That's where I was living. So I had to actually get on. Somebody else is in Rockies that day.
Somebody ripped your trousers.
It probably was. I stole somebody's hat too. But the best part of the day, right, there was a guy behind the bar called Rory. He was a dub. And there was a Rangers supporters club in New York called the Imperial. The Legion. It was called the Legion. The British Legion. And Rory would ring up like every 10 minutes and put on a different accent and ask for the result of the Rangers game. They go 6-2. They hold the phone over his head, and the whole bar go, yeah! I must have done it about 20 times, and it never lost its appeal. It was fantastic. It was like
You're getting Tommy ideas here. Like.
Polish people ringing up with Polish accents. It was fantastic. But I had to get the subway back to Brooklyn, and 2 cops followed me for about 5 blocks because I had my bare arse, because there were no trousers on, hanging out of the back of these cords.
Snake,
Snake Plissken, what was your memory of that game?
I was actually working at the game, believe it or not.
Were you?
I used to be a steward at Celtic Park for 9 years, and I go to see so many brilliant games, but I was outside the stadium when the first goal went in. Then we got called inside the stadium, and I just walked out to speak to a guy, a supervisor, I'm sure a guy where his seat was, and I just looked straight ahead of me, and it's right at the corner at section 109, if you know where that is in the stadium. I don't know, probably he's there. And I just seen the Petrov goal going, bang. I had to jump over the barricades to stop folk from jumping in the park. And then, when the third one, I had to walk on the track at some point, and I missed the third goal. So the only goals I ended up seeing was Stan Petrov's goal and the 2 Larsson goals. I saw the 2 of them, and then I had to go outside the stadium. Was the goal in the last minute. I didn't even see the lovely penalty that our ex-rivals got, because I had to stand facing the crowd for that and all. So there you go. But I just remember the sheer bedlam and the madness, and standing outside after the game with the accordion at the top of the street, and there was some Polish woman was sitting there going, bastards, going mental, and some wee guy ran out the park, made all the troubles down that end of the day, and then bolted. She wanted to chase him, but she couldn't.
Oh Jesus! We're bringing in Chris Kuyava. Chris, yourself, you're a man of the words in the story. What was your what are your memories?
Oh, this is one of these days I was in the house watching it on the telly because I didn't have a season ticket back then. My overriding memory of that has been 3-0 up and still nervous that they were going to come back. And I've seen a few people saying this. It was the weirdest thing. You're 3-0 up, you should be cruising the game, and yet you feel kind of nervous in case they score.
Do you know, probably, Chris, that's probably just such a thing, because we were still in a kind of way where I don't know.
Too good to be true. It's too good to be true.
Because I don't know if we felt inferior to them, but we just, nothing ever seemed to go right against them. And as you say, it's too good to be true, and you're still thinking, this isn't going to work out. So, I mean, this has got to get taken away from us.
I remember people come into Rocky Sullivan's going, what's the score? After like 15, 20 minutes. So, and the guy at the door going, it's 3-0. And they're going, what? Couldn't believe it. Going, you're lying to me. I mean, people just thought it'd be okay to come in after 20 minutes and we still be 0-0. But it was just one of those, man on the moon moments, like.
Chris, you were going to dive.
The Neil Armstrong segue there. I was saying, I mean, that's how good I am at this.
I've been dealing with enough men on the moon the last few years. Chris, you were going to expand on that there. Sorry.
My kind of thought was, see when they got the goal, the first goal, and there was never any confirmation of whether it crossed the line or not, because Gould fell on it, and it kind of looked like it was on the line, or was maybe just over the line, and we couldn't tell because then the camera angles could see, and the linesman just gave it.
I think it's Billy pushed it over the line.
That's when I started thinking, they're going to come back. But then, of course, we got the Larsson goal early in the second half, which was, we all know the famous commentary by now by Ian Crocker.
That was sensational.
But was that no Wallace's goal was over the line, and it didn't get over the line, wasn't it? That would have been 2 of them just before half
time. Aye, there was that one just before. I think it was just before half time, and it got given offside. And when the replay showed it wasn't offside, and that's when it was after that you kind of thought, oh, maybe.
I don't
think I was ever actually confident we were going to win until the sixth goal.
Did he get sent off?
Somebody in the chat room saying when we Baza got sent off, we were cool then. I can't. Did Ferguson get sent off?
No, he didn't get sent off. Somebody else got sent off.
He got sent off a few times. I think he got sent off.
The same game?
Did he go out in the town afterwards where there's Rangers tracking?
Did he get sent off? I can't even remember that. You know that? I can't remember.
They also got a penalty that wasn't that day, no?
Billy Dodd scored, didn't he?
It was just a blatant. It was Mahi jumped for the ball, and McCann fell behind him, and then he got a penalty for it.
Well, wasn't here? Paul, you're a wordsmith, man. Come on, you give us the defining moment of that day.
I was actually, there was a thing, some of our older listeners will remember, a thing called Gig on the Green that weekend.
Yeah, I remember that.
And I was working at it the night before. And so we was kind of like behind the bar there and stuff, and then just ended up getting steaming and stuff like that. And so kind of like hung over, went to the game, and I was actually sitting behind the goal at the Lisbon Lions end where the first 3 goals went in. And I'll tell you, like, when that shot for Lambert went in, I could have died right there and then, quite frankly, because, you know, what he's saying about, you know, thinking that, you know, oh, we might not still win this game and stuff, that was due to 10 years of misery, you know, and expecting to get fucked over all the time by them and all that kind of thing. And the best thing for me was, because I was sitting right behind that goal, I was very near to their fans, and I've never seen fear in my life like I have when I was opposition fans. They could not believe what they were seeing. And they came into that game so arrogant, expecting to just roll right over the top of us. And, you know, giving it the usual big licks and stuff before the game. And just, you know, 1, 2, 3, bang, bang, bang. And they just sat there just like they looked bereaved. And if you remember, actually, after the third goal, Larsson actually went through 1-on-1 for 4-0 and kind of mucked it up a wee bit. And so it was just that way where, as I say, you know, they got the goal half-time. I think one of the best things that happened for us that day is Big Stubbs went off injured, and Mialby came on and literally dismembered their midfield in about 15 minutes, and that was what kind of quelled their any chance of a comeback. And then, of course, you know, the King took over, and that was not only, as Jason said, the start of the Martin O'Neill era, but that was the beginning of the end for Rangers. There's absolutely no doubt about it. Like,
Do you know what? I'm quite surprised nobody's mentioned that day.
Fernando Nixon and Bobby.
I was just thinking that.
Did he, man? He was.
Who was that? Terry, was that you coming in there?
No, but if I come in, I've not got much memories of that day, obviously. I was at the end when we celebrating. But I was fully that night, and I can remember going into the Chinese and just saying, "Give me number 62." And it was chicken and black bean sauce, so it was not bad. I liked it anyway. But I'd have ate whatever they gave me. But I think Jason touched on it there. I think that was only one of the threads a day. Oh, sorry, before I go, I wanted to give a shout out to Snake. I've spoken to him a couple of times on 4-2, and he's acknowledged my contributions to Clyde in the year. So, how you doing, mate? Sorry, I never acknowledged you earlier. And that
Oh, that's alright, Terry. Don't worry, pals. Good to hear from you. I hope you're doing well, mate, you know.
Thank you. I had to go back to the Huns, and that I think that was a major shock to him and a major shock to Murray, because I mentioned the deal in one of the threads and somebody says I was talking shite. I might have been talking shite, but I think that was one of the defining moments that made Murray think to himself, we're going to start using these EBTs. He's probably maybe no sure whether to use it or not. But when that came along, I think he looked across the road at Celtic, the money we were spending, and thought this is the only way we can compete. But I actually looked up to check my facts after this guy told me I was talking shite. And it was actually July 2001 was the first time that Rangers used an EBT player in a game. It was Nerlinger, 1-3-0 at Tawdry, and he was the first ever. So you could say it was like the following season, really. But I think there's no doubt that day we put a marker down that we weren't going to be second best. We would hold the whip hand, and that's my Biden. My favourite game of all time is the 4-2 game, but the 6-2 game's a close second.
I think as well, Terry, it's Neil Lennon again, the scourge of them, because when he came up, he just basically told Barry Ferguson, "I run this midfield now, no you, son." And I think that was definitely a defining moment, because Ferguson put the rattle at the pram that day when he got sent off. But and Neil Lennon as well. See, when Lee Strachan took over for Martin O'Neill, I think nearly every one of Martin O'Neill, people might disagree with me, but a lot of his highly paid stars who done great for us and took us to Seville and stuff like that, but a lot of them threw the rattle at the pram and weren't willing to play for Strachan. But Neil Lennon, Celtic meant too much for him, and he knuckled down and he played for Gordon Strachan, because obviously we threw the rattle at the pram at Ibrox, but Lennon stayed strong with his manager, and he still weighs to this day, and he's probably one of the most, I reckon Neil Lennon to me, after Jock Stein, is maybe one of the most significant people that's ever played and managed our football club. I think that time, sorry Joe, but I think when he was Martin O'Neill's most valuable signing to me, because he just ran the show on and off the park for Celtic. He was a Celtic man, and he basically, defeat wasn't an option when Neil Lennon was a captain of our team.
He's now the backbone of Celtic. Like.
Oh, aye.
I mean, he's the thing we all pin ourselves upon. I mean, I'm sure there's a lot of supporters out there that get an extra boost when Neil Lennon walked through the door as manager. You know?
What I think's a really good thing about Neil Lennon, though, see, because he stayed, and what Jason was saying, he stayed and played under Strachan, he's had the opportunity to learn from both Martin O'Neill and Gordon Strachan, and he's able to use what both of them had to build an even better Celtic. Because Martin O'Neill's biggest problem was he had to spend money to get the players in, where Gordon Strachan was good at identifying the cheaper kind of option. Neil Lennon seems to have the same man management tactics that Martin O'Neill's got, and he's able to identify the decent cheaper player. Now, a lot of that might have come from the likes of John Part and the scouting network, but he ultimately has the final say in who he gets to play.
I think Chris as well, when he was with Crew at the start, Dario Gradi, I think he was he the person that brought him over for Ireland?
Yeah.
So he played under a guy like him who's a legend in his own right as well, with the miracles that he performed at Crewe. And I just think all through his career he's been one of these guys that's learned, because with the problems he had with his back and stuff like that, and obviously maybe wasn't the most athletic in the eye, but by God, when you looked at Seville, I was drinking pints of water at the game with the heat there sitting in the bloody stand, and he's like running about after extra time, a wee guy with ginger hair, so it wasn't that unfit.
I remember that moment well, because I was one of the people that wasn't too sure about Neil Lennon. And see, when I was sitting there in Seville and it's like 119th minute and he runs 40 yards to get a ball out of our box, I thought that's phenomenal. That I think that day was the day I changed my opinion in Neil Lennon.
My father-in-law, he was always Lennon's not much of a player, and we had a spare ticket for one of the games, and I took him along. And he's like a Motherwell fan. He's more into watching the English Premiership, but I took him along to the game, and I says, "Are you watching Neil Lennon the full game?" When he came out, and he says, "You've changed my mind, son." He says, "What a player!" He says, "He ran that full game." But no, I just can't speak highly enough for the guy, and I just think the 6-2 game was is one of his defining moments, because
he wasn't playing in that though.
Oh my God!
Did they sign
Did you just? Oh my God! That's the best HomeBhoys clanger.
December.
First game against Dundee.
There you go. Well, anyway, when he arrived, he carried it on for there.
Jason set in mind he's going to have a...
Oh, they're going to light you up, so they are.
Oh.
I'm on this thread now, just waiting for it to explode.
I tell you, if Mr. Encyclopedia Larkin didn't bring it up, none of you were doing it.
I wish.
To be honest, I just tune out, Jason, when you start speaking.
I wish we had. So, every had Neil Lennon's phone number, and asking his memories of that day.
Maybe he was at the game.
Well, I'll give a quick one about Neil Lennon's debut at Dundee. Actually, I was getting a couple of tickets. Somebody had left them at the Sarah Stamp. I mean, just so happened the Celtic team bus had come in same time, and it was the 6:05 kickoff at that time, like December. And there was an old couple standing just at the wee barrier at the players' entrance to Danes Park. And the Celtic players came off. The bus, obviously, there was nobody really hanging about or anything. It was right off me. And it actually transpired it was actually Neil Lennon's parents. And Neil Lennon got off the bus, seen them, embraced them. And you just seen how much it meant to them to see their son playing for Celtic. And I actually read a couple of weeks later that they very rarely ever watched them in England, but they made the trip over to come and see Celtic debut.
Listen, wait, Joe, you're going to have to knock some people off Skype. There's too many.
Who are we going to knock off? Anybody need to go somewhere?
Anybody willing to leave, because we've got too many on.
Tell you what, I'll bail because I've got another podcast to go and work on anyway.
Right, okay.
Here, well, you've another contract somewhere else.
We're going to have to lose another 2, because we've got about 8 on here.
We've got about 8 people on. We got
Listen, lads, I'll drop out as well because I've been on for quite a while.
Right. Cheers, Terry, man. Listen, you're always welcome every week.
Absolutely, Terry, you're more than welcome, sir. Pleasure to have you.
Cheers,
Take it easy, mate.
I'll jump off. Oh, guys, right. See you later on.
Cheers, Snake.
Take it easy, Snake. Chris, you're out too, are you? This is it. So we've been joined by Brendan, a new caller. Brendan, are you there, sir? Are you there, Brendan? It's like a topic.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you, yeah. You alright?
Yeah, I'm good, thanks. How's Paul Larkin? Is he alright?
I'm fine, thanks.
How you doing, Paul?
Not bad, mate.
What did you want to talk about, Brendan?
Sound called in, so I just have a wee listen to it first.
Are you on the moon?
No, I'm on the mobile.
You're on your mobile, that's a problem.
Brendan, what was it you wanted to talk about, man?
No, I just jumped in for the first time. It's the first time I called up, so enjoy the show, so just have a wee listen and see what happens. Jump in if I want an opinion about something.
stay on board, Brenton. Stay on board. We're going to keep chatting here. I think, though, Neil Lennon, for me, he's more a pure football man than he is anything else. I mean, I have more respect for him as a football man than anything else. Obviously, my respect for him is boosted by my Celtic connections, but, I mean, at Leicester, he was one of the best players they had. He's probably the best player Northern Ireland had. I worked in shorts. I worked in shorts, right? And a guy I worked with, his name was Glenn something. He was an uber loyalist, right? But he was a middle class loyalist. He didn't wear his loyalism on his sleeve unless he was talking to me, right? So that's what. Whose kids is that?
Brendan, you'll have to go, man. Too much background noise.
Can't have kids in the show.
I'm just Jason, you've got the ultimate thing here. Paul the Tim is laughing at you. That's you done, man.
Have you been on Celtic Mind and seen the Tim's hairdos?
Hey, listen, no man, you're not deflecting. Another night. I've seen that.
See if it wasn't for that pesky larkin, I'd have got away with it.
See, the other thing as well is, though, for that era, you know, remember, like when Lennon came into the team and that, all the media always tell us that he could never play with Paul Lambert.
Aye.
I mean, that was always a thing that they kept getting thrown at him all the time. I mean, they're two of the best midfield players in European football at the time.
Because Lambert maybe gave the impression that he was a bit of a holding midfielder, but he could certainly get up the park.
One of the games I've really, I mean, I loved Paul Lambert as a Celtic player. He's an absolute brilliant player. But it was actually a Scotland game when they were playing against Germany. It was just after Seville. And Germany were absolutely running riot against Scotland with a midfield of Lambert and Ferguson. In fact, Lambert actually effectively just stood Ferguson down for the last 20 minutes, got Scotland back into the game and got them an equaliser.
Aye.
You know, he was just such an effective guy at kind of rallying a team and getting them together and, you know, just linking it up and all that kind of thing. And, you know, he was such an unselfish guy for a team. And, you know, it's one of these guys just invaluable. I think Andy Muller said he was the best player I ever played with. And Andy Muller knew how to play football, you know.
See, just talking about Paul Lambert there, I was talking to Chris McGuigan earlier the day. Jason, he was at the Villa Everton game at the weekend.
Right.
And he says he was in the Villa end. That must be his neck of the woods, is it? Is that near Cheltenham? Is it? Is that
it's about half an hour, 40 minutes. I'd got my ticket to if you'd let us know.
He said he was gutted. He was in the Villa. He said he was gutted because the Everton end was bouncing. Obviously, we beat them 3-0 or something. But he says Lambert. He says just start the season. He says it was quite disgusting the abuse Lambert was getting for the Villa fans. He said it was unbelievable. We couldn't believe it.
Yeah.
He says absolute pelters he was getting for the Villa fans. They're only 2 games in the season.
I know.
I just have a memory here. You know what Neil Lann's best game was? When he played Zidane in the World Cup final. Neil Lann's best game was when he won the European Cup in '66.
In '66? Who won it there?
Don't know, but he played for them.
Did he? 66?
No. Here, Jason, I'm just telling you, go on Celtic Minded because...
Joe.
There's a GIF. There's a GIF just been posted, and me and Harper are pissed ourselves.
The guy hit that foot stroke.
Aye.
If you're listening, like, what's the thread?
Celtic Minded, right? It's on the HomeBhoys forum show, right? And it's just what do you call it?
I'm never going to love this.
Gary Coleman. Gary Coleman.
He's just looking like, what is going on?
Totally just doing, what the fuck?
Jason, what is going on?
That's the funniest thing I've seen in years.
This isn't much use to anybody who's listening to the podcast.
As an oral medium, this is no good.
Just got a tweet, Jason, the Bob Clancy of Hell Media.
Even Big Frankie's getting on the actor of it.
I never forget the time Neil Lennon won Wimbledon.
Wait a minute. Have we got anything else to cover here? Can't I just laugh at Jason on it?
The website.
We need to touch on
Sunday Graves,
Sunday, the Celtic Grave Society.
Yes. That's right. They were at Neil Lennon's grave.
just spat cider all over the room. Did they read Neil Lennon's gospel?
Call him. He's had to dismantle everything. Are we still on there?
Oh, Jesus Christ. Josh Gaffney's trying to join in. I just spat cider all this room. Josh, mate, sorry. You alright?
I'm alright. Hill.
Sorry, Josh, I just spat cider all over this room.
Over my fucking laptop.
I'm gonna go and grab a towel. You entertain the crowds. You don't know what my towels are.
Right, I think Paul should tell us about the Celtic Grave Society. Do you know anything
Yes,
about the day on Sunday?
Nah, no, really. I've seen some photos. I think they were, there's a club representation there for Peter Lawwell and Brendan Sweeney, who people will know for, way back, one of the originals for Celts for Change and all that, was kind of organised along with Celtic Graves people. And, what I like about it is the fact that I'll bet there's quite a few Celtic supporters out there didn't actually realise that Andrew Kerrins, a.k.a. Brother Wilfred, is actually buried in Dumfries.
Yeah.
And, I think, if it's one of our famous sayings, if you know the history, and Celtic Graves are really, pushing that envelope we getting. I mean, just imagine if you were a member of the family, somebody, who'd played for Celtic and had had the grave restored by these people. I mean, there can't be many better things, I think they've done the entire first team that ever played for Celtic, the first goal scorer Neil McCallum, the first captain James Kelly. So, it was great to see them, and I know Phil McGillivan was there, and there was quite a few other guys there. I've seen Paul Tim, I think he goes to everywhere. Don't stop. And not to play them, because I tell you, I don't think a European game's complete until you see Paul on the telly, to be honest. But no, fantastic, and I'll be looking forward to hearing Chris's recording the speeches, but can't praise them enough.
Aye, and it's a shame obviously Chris has signed off, because he'd have been good to. I take it Chris was down there and done recording.
Yeah. I think he gives the recording to the Celtic Underground podcast, although I'm not sure if he's going to put it on his own Paradise Report, which I think he probably should. So
it was the Maris Cemetery in the grounds of St Joseph's in Dumfries.
Is that why it was? That's why he was buried in Dumfries then, because of the Marist Cemetery.
Yeah.
Because I've taught in Marist schools, who's the main Marist? It's what's his name?
I have to put the Celtic thread off, or I'm going to piss myself.
He's crying, laughing here. You're getting
Tom Highway's saying, "Don't let up on that."
You're getting destroyed here, Jason. I swear to God.
Glad to have service troops.
The main Christian brother, the Marists. I was taught by Christian brothers. For Christ's sake, I can't remember his name.
What did they sing?
Edmund Rice. That's his name. Brother Edmund Rice, who was the head of the Marists, Christian brothers. And Josh, mate, what did you want to bring up? Josh.
Hello.
You there, mate?
Yeah, I'm here.
What did you want to talk about, mate?
I just wanted to bring up that it wasn't really me that designed the Hail Media website. It was actually Neil Lennon.
That's how it's so good, man. That's how it's so good. Do you know when that website was started? 12 years ago today, Neil Lennon was sitting in his bedroom designing a website.
On a Commodore 64! Oh, Jesus Christ. Oh, that's hilarious.
Come on, let the boy off the hook.
No. Josh, mate, what do you want to talk about?
I don't really know.
This is just
Is there no quiz tonight?
No, I've nothing prepared, man.
No quiz? No, I haven't had a quiz in a long time. We've got nothing to give away.
6-2 team.
In the
sixth. Neil Lennon was in goal.
That's class, man. That is class.
Oh my God, that's the highlight of this show. Ever. This could just be the last show. Jason, you've just picked us. You've just picked us.
To be fair to Jason, he told me beforehand he was going to do that.
Right.
I'm trying to save you here, man.
In fairness, the peak of this show was Harper singing. When? Twice?
Wasn't it the night?
No, I'm saying not this show.
That's just
Oh, right.
Have we nothing else? Cause
we're on Celtic Graves there for a bit, and we want to talk about the website. Josh is involved with the website.
Josh, tell us. Obviously,
website is, by the way, website is absolutely fantastic. I mean, it's so smooth.
To be
Pirates
honest,
come back.
it is that good. It could have been Neil Lennon that done it. I mean, so Josh, I mean, tell us a wee bit what goes into what. I mean, I know you were working night and day to get that together. So I mean, what goes into that kind of stuff like?
Well, it's basically just built upon WordPress and our free theme called GoPress, and basically the basic theme, it's nothing like what the website looks now. And basically, I just build things up, and it's hard to explain. Like, I don't actually have a clear image. It just seems to form out of nowhere.
My friend Dermot is a program developer, an IT program developer, and he talks about IT to me as if I know what he's talking about. Mm-hmm. But I always say, listen, explain it in like layman's terms, and he's good at it. And there's a new thing on Firefox, isn't there, Josh, where you can actually 3D the way a website looks. Have you seen that?
No, I use Chrome.
I use Chrome too, but he's one of these. He's geekalicious.
What?
I'm sorry, Josh, we'll cut it here. Someone just put a picture up on Celtic Minded of Neil Lennon, and you and me all be laughing. And it just says at the bottom, Jason thinks I look like Paul Lambert. That's the funniest thing I've ever seen.
Okay, let's
We'll have to let him off the hook now.
Listen, just to anybody that's listening, if you look at the Hail Hail Media website, hailhailmedia.com, it is absolutely top notch. And now listen, if you're looking for anybody to design a website,
Josh Gaffney's your man.
I'm sure Josh can come to a wee financial. He's not doing this for nothing. He's doing it for nothing for us, but Josh might be starting up a wee business of his own. So
I have to say, I mean, in fairness, I mean, talking about this whole setup, I mean, we never thought this would be what it is.
No.
Did we?
No.
I mean, at the beginning, it was me, you, and 15 people listening, just talking, just for about a year. Mm-hmm. And we're just delighted that people have actually hooked onto it. I mean, as much nonsense as we speak, as much, just rumours we spread and just madness we talk, people just seem to enjoy it. And I'm humbled, very, very humbled by the fact that people even listen to this show and, make fun of Jason.
Just don't make we've actually been joined by a repeat caller.
Aye, the parrot is here. The parrot.
Boys, I'm back in official business this time. The cash and carry banter, you have blown me out the water. It's just to let you know that the Hail Hail Media banner, I've just confirmed, I've had a text off the good Friar Davy that the banner will be on display, hopefully outside Celtic Park about 7 PM on Wednesday, and it will be on display above the Green Brigade as well during the game if people can get cameras out.
That is just phenomenal.
So what you said earlier on, you just text Harper and all the for it.
I was expecting you to say Neil Lennon had it, Jason. I mean, I was doing that around. I won't cheapen you on lines. So.
To be fair, I did get a text saying the banner was ready, so he popped on to let everybody know.
Excellent. The bloke Paul might make an appearance in one of the pictures, but he's going to wear his balaclava. I got him in Abercrombie and Fitch last year, so you won't see his face or anything like that. But it's been a good show tonight. But no, apart from that, it's all quiet, guys. I'm seeing Paul on Wednesday night at the game, aye?
Yes, aye.
Cool. When I get member the memory stick, and I'll give you some more tunes, mate.
I thought we weren't going to talk about these that.
Music tunes. Yeah. Amateur porn. What do I mean?
You wouldn't want to rob a bank with a parrot, would you?
The parrot would be a nightmare up in the holding cells.
Listen.
Singing like a parrot.
Tell me who it was. I already did.
Wait, are we keeping going or we wrap them up because it's 9:25? I either get the 9:45 bus or I can get the 11:15. So
get the 11:15 bus.
So we're still going. I
don't know. It's up to the.
I mean, do you have anything else to talk about?
Tommy, you still there?
I'm here. What do you mean getting a bus? Where are you getting a bus with?
Balbriggan, you picked up like.
Tommy's driving a taxi. He's looking for business.
Here,
listen, give me Lennon a ring and see if he can.
You're using competition here. You're using my competition. That's shocking.
How much would you charge me, Balbriggan, to draw? How much would you charge me, Balbriggan, to draw there?
Where are you? Sorry.
Balbriggan, County Dublin.
How many miles?
Probably about
for you to come and get me. About 200.
I feel a Proclaimers song coming on.
It's a lot of boundary charges there,
I'll
Tommy.
book you in for next weekend. I'll book you in for next Monday, right? I'll be there.
You sound like a pimp.
Scared of getting a 4 to 11, boys. Scared of 4 to 11, Tommy Taxi, right?
Right. Sorry, I wanted to go back to the Celtic Grave Society because I think it's a great. I don't know. I love the fact that in the Celtic sphere, which is probably sounds like a very stupid way to say it, the fact that. Sorry, my daughter just arrived in the room. You okay, honey?
Are we watching Buffy?
In the next half an hour.
Okay, can I stay up here?
Yeah. Everybody say hello to my daughter, Lucia. She's here.
Hi.
Hey, Lucia.
You want to come over closer and say hello?
Have you ever heard of Neil Lennon?
You heard of Neil Lennon, yeah?
Yeah.
I have a Neil Lennon mask, don't I?
Mm-hmm.
Say hi to Jason and Tommy and Paul and Josh. What? In Irish.
Do grit.
My daughter's a fluent Irish speaker. She's 8 years old.
Really?
Yeah.
Perfect.
She goes
Yeah,
to Gales.
hosting a show next week.
That's a subtle barbed comment there, Paul. But anyway, back to the...
subtle a bit.
That's what I love about this show, because we can just say what we want. The Celtic Grave Society, I mean, I love the fact that Celtic fans are so enamoured with history and the history of Celtic, and the fact that they feel, compelled and obliged to pay respect to the history and people that have gone by. And it's not in any sort of, hackneyed way. It's not like, oh, we must do this. It's very heartfelt. It's very real, and it involves a lot of work for these guys. And it's just it is, again, bringing the word up, humbling. It's very humbling for people like that to just go ahead and do something like that. Maybe we'll discuss that now.
Well,
go ahead. Who was that?
It was me.
Go ahead, Josh.
Well, sort of on that topic, there was an article on the Bleacher Report last week, and basically it was talking about the top 25 most dedicated fan bases, and Celtic was at number 2, and I think things like the Celtic Grave Society is definitely why we're that high up on that list.
To be fair, that list, Josh, I think it was a lot of tripe, but I think we're definitely.
Jason, to be honest, Aaron, you said
sorry, Josh, on you go, mate.
Come on. Come on, keep going.
What club can you think of that runs things like the Celtic Grave Society?
Oh, no. I'm not.
Number one then?
Who's
number one on it?
Barcelona.
Barcelona, yes. Yeah.
Barcelona, who take 15 away fans to each away game.
I agree with Jason. It's all the rubbish.
To be honest, they kind of things are just, you take it with a punch of salt. It's great.
Yeah.
It's great to go in the paper so the Huns read it and they're a wee bit, and you can wave it in front of them in their faces. But
what I liked was,
to be honest, we all know that.
What I liked was I read someone had taken a photograph of the column, and it might have been in the Sun or something like that. It looked like a kind of print, mentioning that this had happened and that Celtic had got number 2. But I love the last paragraph mentioned that they made no report of Rangers, because apparently they only report fans that stick to their clubs through thick and thin.
That's right, yeah.
I thought that was brilliant.
It's the wee dig that
It was a wee tiny dig, and it's kind of one of those things. Either did a Celtic supporter write this, or is this just common knowledge now? You know what I mean?
I think Josh makes a good point, but about Celtic. I don't mean the Bleacher Report, but I'm talking about the Celtic fans and fans of a club always say that they're more than a club, and to every fan of each club, their team means more to them than anything. But I think Celtic fans go over and aboard just following a football team, and it's things like all these shows as well we're doing, but the Grave Society and stuff like that, the Kano Foundation, the Ty Tims. Things like that that's associated with our club. That how many teams across the world have got things like that attached to them?
See, to be honest, Jason, right? See, when the first Celtic Underground podcast first done the stuff with the Celtic Grave Society, it was probably the best.
Fascinating, it was compelling, wasn't it? Like,
to listen to it, it was like you wish it was on television or something. It's that kind of thing. It was like listening to a Celtic version of Panorama, if you like. Do you know what I mean? It's the kind of thing that, as a Celtic fan, that's what I want to hear. Jason, me and you are big readers of books and that. We love our kind of history and that. What better history than the history of Celtic?
No.
Do you know what I mean? And these guys are.
I'll need to start reading about the history of Celtic.
I mean,
I met a guy.
These guys are. Jason,
Jason,
the thing is, these guys are bringing it to life. And somebody like KK, Chris being there recording it, and it's out there, so it's simple history. It's easy. You don't have to read a book. Actually, you can.
No.
These guys.
Somebody tell you. It's word of mouth as well.
These guys are bringing it to life. You can go along to the things, watch it, learn stuff, and it makes people interested. Then it makes you go, that's mad, man. I'm going to go and read about that guy. Do you know what I mean? It gets young people interested in talking about the history of Celtic, which is a very, very important part of their club.
But hang on, the best thing about Celtic is, it's social inclusion. Mm-hmm. Cliques by definition are exclusive. Clubs are inclusive, right? And the fact that Celtic is so inclusive and has been so freely inclusive from inception, it's just something. You don't get that too often. You don't get that very often at all. You get clubs. Even Barcelona. Barcelona. As much as I love Barcelona, I've been to Barcelona. I've worked in Barcelona. I've met loads of fans in the suburbs. I've got a real. I feel personally that I have a real sort of sense of what it means to them, as opposed to what it means to me. It means to me great football. But
do you think it means that much to them? They play Valencia in a away game. They take about 20 fans. It's only a 2-hour drive down the road.
I know, but the thing is, it's when the stadium is what means so much to them. But they
don't even follow them away.
I know, but it's a different culture, I think. I don't know.
No, Athletic outnumber them about 10-1 when they're playing like a cup final.
Yeah, but I don't know. I can't really judge in that perspective. I've only been there in the city with the fans, speaking to those guys. I've never been away with them. I don't really go to that extent to follow them. But
definitely. And obviously, when you look back to the Spanish Civil War and stuff like that,
absolutely.
Their president was assassinated.
To have the language contained to a stadium, you know what I mean?
Aye.
Which is kind of like
you
weren't allowed.
You couldn't speak Catalan.
Public speaking.
Yeah. So that's where they're to. You take a tour, and the guy in Barcelona starts calling Franco a bastard during the tour, and you're like, right, okay.
One of the things was Johan Cruyff, because he was Dutch.
Called his son Jordi.
It was against the law to call the kids Jordi, because George is a patron saint of Catalonia.
Mm-hmm.
So Johan Cruyff called his son Jordi because he was Dutch. So Franco had no say over what Cruyff could do. So see, the day Franco died, all over Catalonia, people queued up to the deed poll stations to change their kids' names with deed poll to Jordi.
Right.
There you go.
The story was that...
Yeah. You go, mate.
Go ahead, Terry. Go ahead. Sorry, Tommy.
Yeah, on that day, I was over there for the last one just a few days ago, but I was over for the one, it was 2 days before St. George's Day, and St. George is the patron saint of Catalonia. But touching on what the issue of what makes a club like Celtic and Barcelona different and stand out from many other ones, is the unique history and how they were born and the oppression that they've had to endure from outside forces taking over their land. And okay, Celtic were formed in the surrogate land of what happened to the Great Hunger, what happened, which was the British colonisers, and what happened in Catalonia with the Spanish, and the fascists there. It means I can see what you're saying, Jason, regarding the point, but they don't take many fans away. The point has to be what makes Celtic. I would say Celtic are hands and above, what the fans actually do compared to anything that is probably out there, and that is a combination of that makes us especially unique. That there's this level where Barcelona and other clubs who have suffered oppression, but I think Celtic, and it's a phenomenon that that certainly for the Irish people who go across all over the world working as missionaries or working as helping in aid or work for charities, and it's through the roof the amount of Irish people, and that is no coincidence. And Celtic, to see Celtic or uniqueness for helping charities all over the place, where a good brother goes out, he marries a local woman out in Thailand, and the story of what happened there, the Thai Tims and stuff like that, and that's not just unique. There's other charities that are touched by the Celtic community, family, and that's what makes it special, and that's what attracts other people to it, because of the ethos and the beauty of it. And it's not just about a football club or a team. That is the focal point. But the point behind it all is that it was created for people to come together as a community, and because it's got that uniqueness, that's the point of we started. We're a community club. It was because of people were suffering, we joined together. So if we see suffering, we want to help. If there's whatever, so that's what makes us 100% unique, and other clubs can only aspire to. And the old rival Sevco, you know, they were born out of a bitterness and a hatred to people who were different to them, the ready, the British imperialism, and that stemmed in their downfall. Ultimately, the reason why they get liquidated is because their heads were shoved up their own arses for too long.
I know. Can't
Sorry.
add much to that, can you?
Can I come in, boys?
Go ahead.
This is Jim for the Grave Society, Celtic Grave Society.
Jesus, Jim, I forgot you were even on there. Sorry about that.
Well, mate, I was listening to you tonight, and I was looking in the Celtic Minded thread there as well, and I'd been minded to phone you up, but I've just got the winds in bed. But I thought I'd give you a phone and maybe tell you what we were up to. But you're doing such a brilliant job in promoting us. I don't think I need to say anything. That was great.
No, carry on, Jim. Let's hear the
God,
story.
Jim, you're the guy I want to hear from. I mean, we're a launch pad for anything that's going on in Celtic. I mean, that's the way we see ourselves. So, I mean,
well, I mean, one of the things you said there, which I think was great, is that we are just normal supporters. We're no sort of museum curators. We're no. We're anoraks to an extent, I suppose, but we are just ordinary supporters who see that we can maybe make a difference in a wee way. It's funny, the Brother Walford event was yesterday, which was a brilliant success. People coming in for Glasgow, people coming off for Fife. Mark Cameron for the John Thompson Memorial Committee came in for Fife, and there was a fantastic local turnout. But one of the things that struck me was the event was a success, well supported by the club, well supported by hugely important Celtic figures. But when I got back up the road, came out of the bus, and there's a new billboard on London Road going down towards Bridgeton. I don't know if you've seen it, and it's selling season tickets, of course. And there was a picture of Brother Walford on there. There was a picture of the Lions. And then every other image, there were about 12 to 14 images on there. They were all post-1967. Mm-hmm. And one of the things that struck us a couple of years ago is that there is a bit of a void when we talk about our history. It's as if sometimes our history, maybe started at the 7-1 game, but then the real history started in 1967. And it's really important, I think, that we don't just cast the 80 years, the 1888 to 1967 adrift. And I know that some of those posters are aimed at the young team, and the young team who are going to be buying tickets, and whose dads might be buying tickets for them. And if they see a picture of Henrik up there, if they see a picture of I hate to say it, King Kenny up there, they might go and buy a ticket for their kids. But some of the guys, sticking Jimmy Quinn up there might make somebody stick their hand in their pocket. So I think it's important that we do remember the history from the early days, from 1888 to the 6 in a row winning team of the early 1900s, through to John Thompson, through to the dark days when we won nothing, all the way through to the present day. And that's one of the things that we hope that we're managing to do.
And Jim, I mean, anything else that you can add that's going to be coming up near in the future that, or is that kind of, I don't know, top secret, but I'm not saying top secret, but
some things. One of the things that we have to do is to get the families involved. Because these guys are hugely important Celtic figures, and at times we think that they're ours, they're our possessions, but there's a bit of sensitivity around the families, so sometimes it appears that we're sort of springing things at the last minute, but we really have to dot every I and cross every T. But no, there are plans for this year. Obviously, it's a hugely significant year, and we want to try and make sure that some of the hugely significant figures in our history are remembered. So obviously, Brother Walford yesterday, we thought that would be a great way to start off the 125th year. On 27th of October, we're having a memorial for Jimmy McGrory in Dalbeth Cemetery before Kilmarnock, I think it is, we'll go that day. So 12 o'clock, Dalbeth Cemetery. We're hoping to restore Jimmy's grave with the help of the family. John Kearney will be speaking there. Who I came back in the bus yesterday. I had a lovely 2 hours sat talking to John Kearney. It was a dream come true. Terry Dick said to me, "Oh, do you want to sit beside John Kearney?" And I said, "Hold me back." It was brilliant. So John Kearney will be the main speaker. As I say, we're hoping to get various things sorted out. So we can't say too much about who will be speaking, but that will definitely be on the 27th of October. And we also hope that there'll be a big turnout for the Garngad teams, because Jimmy is, one of surprisingly few guys who made it through the ranks, the Garngad, and was a hugely significant figure for us. So we also hope, I've spoken to one of the St Rock's guys on Twitter, and we hope to get St Rock's involved in it as well as Father Sweeney, who done the service yesterday. He's an old St Rock's boy, so we hope to get Father Sweeney involved too. So that's 27th of October. Chris, who was there yesterday, recorded it, and Chris has been there for the very early days recording it. And
I've heard them all.
Yeah, we heard some of the first ones, yeah.
I think he was there at the Dan Doyle, the very first one, and it's not just standing there with a recorder. He's got to go back and actually try and make sure that some of them are audible. That first day, as if we were tested on that first Dan Doyle day. It was Baltic.
Yep.
So somebody was testing us, but Chris, recorded it, and then he goes away and plays with sound levels so that we can actually hear it. So that people who can't make it, and we can't really have to be to all them. We can't make everyone, but Chris goes out there, and I think he has been to everyone, and he's recorded them for us. We're really grateful for that. So I hope Chris will be able to do that for the Jimmy McGrory as well. On the 6th of November, our actual 125th, there's a bit of a disagreement as to when our history started. Was it the night in St Mary's in 1887, or was it when the first match was played in 1888? But we were hoping to mark both. So 6th of November, there's going to be a memorial mass. We hope it's going to be a Champions League night. It would be brilliant if it was a Tuesday night, Champions League home night, and there's going to be a memorial mass in St Mary's. So for one night, we hope that everybody can sort of tear themselves out of the pub and maybe spend 45 minutes or an hour in St Mary's, where our history really did start. So that's 6th of November, and then 28th of May, in 2013, 125th anniversary of our very first match. We're talking about maybe having a simultaneous sort of memorial for each of the first ever 11, and that will involve things going on in New York, in Prague, in Dumbarton, in Pittsburgh, in Dalbeth, in Lanarkshire. At each of the sites where those 11 guys are buried, we're hoping to have something like that going on. So that's a taster. There's various other things going on as well, boys. But we're open to ideas, and if people want to know about their relatives who might have played for Celtic, we've got all types of people contacting us, people whose dads were trainers or who'd maybe played in the reserves. We want to hear from everybody, and if we can help people, that's what we're about.
Jim,
tell their stories.
Jim, and something I've always wondered, because you're always very respected to the families. The families have got to be heavily involved with anything that you do going forward and that. Without naming any names or anything like that, have you ever had any sort of negative reaction from any of the families or that? Have you ever had stopped in your tracks and went, "No, sorry, we don't want involved in this or anything like that? Like, or has it always just been a really positive experience? Like, do you know what I mean?
No, it's a good question. Rather than a negative reaction, what I would say we've had today is we've had to be sensitive, and sometimes that takes time. Between the first contact and when they can actually have a service, and that's not just with families, that's with authorities as well. We've had to prove ourselves to the club. Hopefully, we've got people who in the organisation who are known to the club, who've been known to the club for a while, who've proved themselves, and that helps us with the club. But we've also, we've had to prove ourselves to the authority, the archdiocese, to the authorities at Dalbeth, and obviously with the families. When you first make contact, I'll give an example. James McLaughlin played in our first ever match, and we knew some things about him, but when you do a family tree, you usually start with somebody who's alive now, who says, "Can you trace my family back 200 years?" We had to reverse that and start with somebody who was born in the 1860s and trace his family to today. And when you trace somebody's family, it's one thing sort of tracing somebody's family to today, but you've got to try and devise a way to contact them out of the blue and say, I'm Jim for the Celtic Grave Society. We believe your great-granddad played sort of 2 games for Celtic in the 1880s. We'd like to have a memorial service for him. And that is a long negotiation in order to do that, and I think it took the best part of 9 months. And the McLaughlin family are fantastic. They were absolute gems in my. There was so much more involved, and that's one of the things with the families that you think that their relatives played for the club these 2 matches, and that was it. They went off and opened a pub and got on with their lives and forgot about Celtic. That's not the case at all. These guys, the families live and breathe Celtic, and they've lived and breathed Celtic for 125 years. And for them, it was a source of massive pride in those early days to get the call. And it's almost as if now, for some of them, it's another source of massive pride that actually they're getting the call again and they're being remembered. But as I say, in terms of sensitivity, and without naming names, sometimes you have to be ultra sensitive to the fact that some people are very nervous about their relatives, their high-profile relatives' graves being identified. And we're also very sensitive at times about giving that information out. So when people contact us and ask us, can you tell me where so-and-so is buried, or I'm in this area and I'd like to know where so-and-so is buried, we've got to know who we're speaking to and who we're dealing with before.
Jim, another question I've got as well is, have you ever...
Sorry, I went on at times, so jump
I know
in.
it's Jim, fucking...
Another thing I've thought about as well, have you ever contacted a family out the blue, and it was out the blue to them, who they didn't realise that this person was a distant relative or something like that? Like it was a shock to them, and then suddenly I didn't realise I was related to this guy who played in the first Celtic team or played in the Celtic in the 20s or that, but you've only found out through your research sort of thing.
Sort of in a way with the Murrays in the States, where they knew of their relatives' involvement in football, and Phil Murray was, that's my username on Celtic Minded, because the story, it absolutely gripped me. I've done various things, and one of I was involved to a very small degree in when I was a student in the miners' strike, and Phil Murray was a miner, and his story absolutely gripped me, and the whole stories of the miners at North Lanarkshire. And there's a book to be written, Paul. Maybe there's a book for you to write about the miners in North Lanarkshire and how they got involved in Celtic. But the Murray family knew that that he was involved. Phil was involved in football, and his, Phil's, he paid for his nephew to come out to the States, and he ended up being the American equivalent of the leader of the General Secretary of the TUC. It's a massive figure in America, massive. So when we contacted the Murray family, they knew that he was an important, that he had a football background, but I don't think they knew to the extent that he played in Celtic's first ever match. But there's another family who moved up to the States, the Gorivans. We were able to prove who this mysterious H. Gorivan figure was. It was actually a guy called Charlie Gorivan who lived in Govan. He was always doing his playing for Govan Whitefield. Charlie Gorivan went out to New York and he played for teams in Brooklyn, and that was shortly after he played for us. But we've not been able to contact their family. Charlie didn't have any kids, so that's one of the things that, talk about behind the scenes in terms of what we have to do. As far as we're aware, that family, they've got no idea that, their great uncle played for Celtic, or that anybody else would be interested in that fact that he played for Celtic 2 or 3 times. So that'll be a conversation we'll have to have with them. But most families, as I say, most know, and it's a source of great pride for them that their ancestors did play for us.
That's absolutely, Jim, honestly, it's fantastic what he's doing, and especially when I hope the Gavin Gard guys turn out as well, because obviously that's one of the, Gavin Gard and the Carlton are probably 2 of the biggest hotbeds of Celtic's history, Aye.
And I'm sure they will.
I'm sure they will. Absolutely.
I'm absolutely certain they will. And if anybody who's listening, any of you boys, if you want to come along, hopefully what Chris does is shows that they're respectful services. But when you listen to the likes of Terry Dick's speech, it's fantastic and it's entertaining. And usually these things we go for a beer in the Celtic Club after, and they're brilliant and they're done in the Celtic way, and there's a laugh there. There's a bit of humour. And it's respectful, but we're there and we're telling a wee bit of Celtic story, so everybody's welcome. So I'll let you go on, boys.
Brilliant. Oh, Jim,
Jim, I've got one last question for you.
All right,
Lauren, you want to go
the
first?
boys, he's a bit with you.
I just want to say, this is
time here with Harper.
But
it's interesting, man.
It's super interesting. But do you know what the cry is, if you know history, you know what I mean? And I swear to God, what you do and what Celtic Graves does is you're uncovering history for everybody else. You know what I mean? We're all learning more about Celtic the more you do. You know what I mean?
I think, the personal thing I like is I hate to use the word obscure because there's no obscure to the families, but I love the Phil Murray stories, the Charlie Gordon stories, the James McLaughlin stories, and everybody's got the legends are always there. For me, as well as being brought up a Celtic supporter, Kenny Dalglish made me the Celtic supporter, and I adored Kenny when I was a boy, and whether or not I would sort of say that I'm a Celtic supporter because I followed Celtic because of an obscure player in the 70s, I probably wouldn't. But for me now, as a 40-something, I'm interested in some of the more obscure guys, and if we can tell the history through somebody else's eyes, then that's something that I'd really like to do. And we're maybe hoping to have another event in New York remembering Charlie Shaw. It's 75 years since Charlie Shaw passed away, but we've got a bit of work to do in that. But we've been active for the past couple of years, but other people have been doing this for years. Other people have been telling the Celtic story, looking after the graves and trying to tell the story of the people who are at rest there. And, the example, of course, is the John Thompson Memorial Committee. Mark was down there yesterday. In 2 weeks' time, they're having a cycle through to Carden, from Celtic Park to Carden Den. The guys have been doing that since the 40s or 50s. I think the first Memorial Football Tournament was discovered that it actually started in the 40s. So Celtic Grave Society, we can help, but people have been doing what we do for years. But if we can help other people to tell their wee bit of history, then I think that's a good thing. And if we can make sure that the likes of Willie Neal's grave is in a condition that it should be in and is respected and is looked after and will never again be a derelict site, then that's something that we are absolutely determined will happen and will never happen again.
Jim, the question I was wanting to ask you just before you went off was, like, obviously the big connections between Celtic and Ireland. Me and Joe being based in Ireland. Has there never been any sort of thing that's turned up? I mean, I know you had the one in America and that last year. Has there never been one where you felt there might be something happening in Ireland, or a grave that was found in Ireland, or a family's came to you in Ireland and says, look, my great-grandfather's maybe missing, but I'm not getting the words. I'm pissed.
You're pissed, that's why.
Right, but do you know what I mean? Is there anything...
There's come and claim that they play for Celtic.
In Ireland, I'm just looking, maybe there might be an event in Ireland in the future.
That's absolutely one of the things we're looking at. And it's one of the things we're working on behind the scenes, because obviously, so I think every player for the first ever team was, of Irish origin or was born in Ireland. I think 6 were of Irish origin and 5 were of Irish. 5 were actually born in Ireland. So when we looked at their stories, I think we fully expected, one of the guys to be buried in Ireland, but that wasn't the case. One of along with the first ever team, we've got to decide on priorities, but we're also looking at hopefully maybe something this year for the founding fathers of the team. So obviously, huge figure yesterday, Brother Walfred, Brother Dorotheus, who was another hugely important Marist figure, who was colleague of Brother Walfred, who was head teacher of significant schools, is at rest in County Athlone. Various other members of the original Celtic committee, the first ever Celtic committee, I think in 1890, are at rest in Ireland. So it's one of the things that we are looking at, and we're making contact with some of these families to see if there is something that we can do there.
Certainly, like say myself and Joe being in Ireland, Jim. I mean, we'd be more. Well, certainly, I speak for myself. We'd be more than happy to kind of maybe be a contact in Ireland for anything like that and help you out wherever you wanted. Because Joe, you've got a few contacts up north from that.
Belfast, yeah, for football contacts too.
I mean, definitely, if there was anything we could do to help and promote and stuff like that, it definitely wouldn't be a problem. Like.
Brilliant, boys, thank you. And,
I love...
we've had people in Ireland, often, we've had, people throughout the world, of Offerdale, New Zealand, Australia. There's a fantastic poster on the site who is a librarian in Sydney, and he's great. And he keeps, it's like we want to do something out there for him, but we can't sort of magic something up. And the guys in the States as well, in Canada, we had Gecko, Aurora Cell, help us out with John Thompson's girlfriend's daughter, John Thompson's fiance, his girlfriend's daughter. He was in touch with her. And the offers of help we've had throughout the world are brilliant. But we're obviously very, very aware that it would be great to do something in Ireland and to have an event in Ireland, and that is something that, believe me, we are actively working on. But in terms of sensitivity, it's very, very difficult to to announce something or somebody's name before we've contacted the family. And we have to make sure that the first people we announce of something to or have contact with is the family rather than supporters of the club. So, and everybody understands that, and that's the great thing. Everybody understands that. But rest assured, boys, we are working on maybe getting something done in Ireland sooner rather than later.
What I love about what you do, Jim, is that we all wanted to be that guy. We all wanted to pull a jersey on and walk out in front of the crowd. And there are so many guys out there that did it, but did it briefly. And the fact that you're finding these people and finding their history, and it's just, it's phenomenal to me. It's just, it's everything that I get into Celtic for, you know?
Can I come in here and ask something, lads?
You're more than welcome. It's fair, yeah.
Jim, hi, how you doing? It's brilliant work that you're doing. It's absolutely tremendous. And can I ask a question regards all the players who played in the first game? Did they stay in Glasgow any length of time, or did they all depart Glasgow soon after? You know, or did they stay and play many games for Celtic? Is the history? I mean, to actually personalise and find out about it is beautiful, and it's wonderful. I just wanted to know: do we know all the history of each single player, and did they all depart to further shores? Is that what happened to them all?
Tommy, they started up the Celtic Underground podcast. Did you know that?
Here, do you know? Here, the biggest name in the first Celtic first team was Neil Lennon.
Tony Watt, wasn't it? History starts with Tony Watt.
You're right.
No, Tommy, no, there's on the Celtic, on CelticGraves.com, there's a page, or there's a section for the first ever Celtic 11, and that tells their story. Every player has an individual thread, and it's interesting actually. Some of them, as well as playing for Celtic, it was a source of huge pride, but there were tough economic times. A lot of these guys were minors, and they moved where the work was. Phil Murray was born, as I say, from an Irish background, but he was born in, I think it was Walstanton in Staffordshire. Then he came up to work in the coalfields in North Lanarkshire, and it was a source of huge pride for him to play for Celtic, according to his family. But then he moved and followed the work to the newly opened coalfields in Pennsylvania, and I think that was 1890s. Somebody will correct me here, but I think it was the 1890s, because there was a recruitment drive in Pittsburgh, and they knew that there were a lot of experienced miners in North Lanarkshire, so they came on and they took the war to Pittsburgh. Charlie Donovan, his whole family went out there. We were very excited. We started finding records of the Gorovins and the shipping manifests. We had to go through all the shipping manifests, and we started finding the Gorovins. But of course, like every bloody Irish family at the time, there were loads of them. So having to sort of tick them all off till we found this obscure sort of H Gorovin, who it turned out was Charlie. So he moved out fairly soon after. For economic reasons. Johnny Madden carried on playing in the west of Scotland, but he moved out to Prague. And I heard a great story, and this fresh off hot off the press. I sat next to John Kearney yesterday. I'm sure the story's out there somewhere, but Johnny Madden had a pal who played for what was then Rangers, and he was taken on to be coach of this team in Prague, and his wife said, "I'm not going out there." So Johnny Madden took a picture of himself wearing a Rangers shirt and sent it out to Prague, and he said, I'll be out in 2 weeks' time. Here's the details, meet me after train. And when he got out he said, "Oh, you've spelt my name wrong. My name isn't whatever it was, Farquharson. My name isn't Farquharson. It's Madden. It's spelled Madden, no Farquarson." And that's how he got the gig out in Prague, and he became the father of Czech football. And a hugely respected figure. When he passed away after the war, he was getting a state funeral. So there's three of them who moved away. But of course, James Kelly became, our first ever captain. James Kelly is buried, I think it's St Joseph's or St Patrick's in North Lanarkshire. He was the father of the Kelly dynasty, who we all know and love, who were hugely important and influential in Celtic all the way through to the 90s. You're testing me now and where all the others went, but the majority, I think, stayed in and around the west of Scotland rather than Glasgow. Mick Dunbar is the only one who's buried in Dalbeth, who went on to become, played in that first ever match, and then also went on to join the first ever Celtic committee. He was a hugely influential figure. But apart from the three, most of them stayed in and about the west of Scotland rather than Ayrshire, I'd say. And as I say, somebody's going to correct me on this, but that's off the top of my head without having the thread open.
No, I think Jim, it was brilliant, man. You're a credit to Celtic family for what you to actually personalise people who played in the first game and to actually do service to them is just brilliant, mate. It's beautiful. Thank you for...
You know what, Tommy? You know who the credit to the Celtic family is? The families of these people. Every time and time again, the families are brilliant. And I've just gone and picked up something. And I mentioned James McLaughlin earlier, and when we had James McLaughlin's ceremony in St Kentigern's, it was the first outside Dalbeth, I think we had. Bill McLaughlin, who's James's grandson, played in that first ever match. I'd met Bill a few times, and he used to tell me stories about sitting in his granda's knee, and his granda would tell him stories of the early Celtic. And this guy, you think you know something about the club, and he tells you things that, the hair on the back of your neck just stands on end. It's unbelievable. And that day at St Kentigern's, they passed something to the Celtic Grave Society, which are keeping a safe place in the house away for the kids. It was 2 complimentary season tickets, one from season 1935-36, season ticket number 14, entered by London Road only.
Jesus.
A season ticket for the director's box, and it's signed by W. Maley, secretary.
Fantastic. That's history in your hand.
And
I've got the book. Sorry to jump in. I've got the book, the history of the story of the Celtic, signed by Willie Mail, and it says JP after it for Justice of the Peace. So I've got that, the first ever book, Rob, at Celtic.
It's, and it really is. And when you see their actual signature, to know that they picked up this thing, it's you're privileged. And we see the documents for the 1880s. Looking at post office directories. We were looking at post office directories last week, and when you see the name Brother Walfrid just in a post office directory, it's we were sat there, it was at 2 in the morning texting each other. In that way we are anoraks, we're real anoraks. But it's you see, you pull on the jersey, you're excited to see somebody's name for an original document in for 1888, 1886, 1890. That's exciting as well. It really is, and to know what these guys founded, that's what excites us. But as well as that, the likes of Tony Watt excites us as well. We're Celtic fans at the end of the day, and the history, what Brother Walfrid started, would mean nothing, as Peter Lawwell said yesterday, if we didn't have a club now. We have got a club now, and the continuation of that club and seeing guys like Tony Watt being prepared to take it forward to the next 125 years is what it's all about.
I think, Jim, you've just summarised it. You've been on and gave us some great examples and stuff like that, but I think you've just told us why Celtic is more than a club. It isn't just 11 guys kicking a lump of leather about a park. It is a lot more than a club, and it's a lot of our lives. You know, and it's things that you think about a million times a day. And after your family, Celtic means more to me than anything. You know, after my family's there, and then after that, it's Celtic. You know, and that's probably the same for a lot of us. And you've just explained it, the work that you guys do. It's just got to be commended and keep it going. And it's absolutely brilliant.
Absolutely, boys. Use as well. You know, the media is hugely important. We all know the frustrations we've had all the years, but you know, it's you boys, the Lost Boys, all the new podcasts that are springing up, the boys at Celtic Under, and you've turned the Celtic media for being such a source of negativity. You've turned it into a positive experience. Mm-hmm. And going back to that, I mentioned earlier that thread in Celtic Minded. How many of the Clyde threads were ever had anything positive to say? But you look at that thread on Celtic Minded, and there's humour, and there's passion, and there's laughter. It's a positive experience now, the media experience around Celtic, and that's because of what the likes of you boys do. So we take our hats off to you as well, and we're all in it together.
Exactly. And that's the ethos of this show, of this concept. Jim, it's always about, there's room for everybody. We're all here to be friends. We're all here to be Celtic supporters. That's all we're about. We're all about being Celtic supporters. That's
Absolutely.
it.
A show by the fans, for the fans.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
Bang on. I mean, everybody's welcome. There's room for all of us. Different opinions, devil's advocate, whatever you have to say, whatever you have to do, it doesn't matter. I mean, just come on and say it, because that's why we're Celtic fans. We want to interact. We want to talk to each other. I mean, that's the point.
Totally, boys. You've sold me on it. So I'll sign off and let you get on with it. My wife's desperate to get in and make a cup of tea here, but the kettle makes a hell of a noise, so I'll let you get on with it.
Jim, it's been it's an absolute pleasure to have you on.
Jim,
I mean, an honour.
mate.
Thank you very much,
I'll phone you again sometime, give you an update, but keep up the good work, boys.
You're more than welcome, Jim.
Jim, as I said, if you need anything for us, like we're in County Dublin, County Louth.
HomeBhoys at gmail.com.
Absolutely, boys. I will absolutely.
And we've got guys in New York and everything like that, Philadelphia, whatever. If you need anything further there as well, just let us know, mate.
Well, I'll be calling on you before the 28th of May, which century are you in?
Get back in your time machine, Jim, and go.
All right, boys. Hail.
Hail, Jim. A pleasure, mate. Absolute pleasure.
Cheers, lad.
Thank you. I don't think we couldn't top any of that. I think we got to close this up now. Do we?
I don't know.
Oh, keep it going. Get all right.
Somebody at the sofa.
We're just getting started here. Come on.
It's getting started. You said bus got it?
Somebody at the
Well,
sofa.
he's off or not.
I've got half an hour.
You're having half an hour?
I'll just stay tonight.
My daughter's standing here with a towel around her going, when are we going to watch Buffy the Vampire Slayer?
Oh, is that you? So if you want to wrap up, we'll wrap up.
I gotta. What do you think, honey?
Well, I mean, can I say something? That's just remarkable. I mean, because to hear about everybody's story is unique. Everybody follows Celtic for their own reason, and we all go along to the games with our own close family, and we share those experiences. And so we score a goal, and we hug each other, and we celebrate it, and then we commiserate each other when we get gubbed or something. And we've been doing that now, 125 years, totally unbroken. But we've been doing it for a reason, not just to turn up and to win, to have fun times with our family.
Yeah.
And when I hear someone who I've never met, or whose story that the gentleman, I can't remember his name, but the boy who went out to, what was his name, Madden, who went out to the Czech and founded the football out in Czech or whatever. I'm going to try and find out more about it. But, I mean, that's 125 years ago. And it's beautiful to hear that, because that's the whole essence. That guy and his family are just the same as our families. They've got experiences and we share it. And for guys who go out and out their way and dedicate themselves to doing it, he was saying, what with the work that they do in the Celtic graves, it's got to be applauded,
See for me, right? See, hearing the stuff with Celtic graves, it really inspires you to go and look further. The people like us who are so into the club and so into the history of the club, right? And there's a lot of the history of the club that's like, it's like the pop history. It's so easy.
You can find it online.
I mean, it's the 67 team in the European Cup.
You can look at Celtic and find everything.
Somebody made a very good point to chat me earlier. History didn't start in 1967. Do you know what I mean? It goes much further, and learning all that stuff is brilliant, man. Jason, I mean, I know you're the same as me. You're loving your history. Paul, you're a writer. To me, that anything that is...
Somebody made a very good point.
Sorry about that.
Anything that inspires younger people to go and pick up a book or to go and Google and go and research about the stuff that Jim's talking about is a win-win in my eyes.
Absolutely, aye, definitely. No, but the way he speaks, the passion he speaks with, that was absolutely brilliant. And the work that these guys put in is, you know, they're basically a volunteer society. And that's the thing that the Celtic's got so much expertise within the support that they can call on free of charge to provide them with services. And I don't think they utilise it enough, the club. And I just think it's amazing what these guys do, and that just proves that Celtic is more than a club. I know a lot of clubs, as I say, if you support any club, the club, I said before, the club means more to you than anything, but Celtic, to me, it stands out there, and we've got no equal.
Paul, is there anything you want to add to that, the Grave Society
No,
stuff?
there's nothing I can add. I mean, Jim just said it succinctly and perfectly, you know, and we've got a great history, and you know, it's because of people like Jim and stuff that are kind of keeping that going, and that's all I can really say.
I'm just surprised Jim listens to this kind of rabble.
Like I said, I mean, like, personally, me, anywhere I've gone in the world, Celtic has been my best friend. I mean, anywhere I've gone,
and I'll make you a friend.
Exactly. I mean, when I went to America, went to New York, the first place I looked up was Supporters Club, Rocky Sullivan's. I went in there, made friends, had a good time, and it's always been my friend. Anywhere I've gone, Celtic supporters, just chatting, just talking, just being friends. You know what I mean? And it's a very we live on a small rock, not far from the sun, and all we have together is Celtic, and I think that's just phenomenal. We've been joined by Celtic Dreams. Ernie boy, what's happening, sir?
The fish tank.
Ernie just got out of an audition for Aliens 4.
Celtic Dreams is actually another show on Spreaker who does a show on Saturday night.
Ernie,
play a few tunes.
Ernie's scape is ridiculously bad.
Right, listen, we'll wrap up.
Wrap it up.
We're dead in 10 minutes anyway. So
this has been one of the best shows.
Can I come in for one last thing?
Go ahead, Tommy. You're always welcome.
I wanted to talk about Sevco.
No, here, Tommy, no. Not a Sevco. We're not going Sevco on this. No chance. Sorry. That's the one thing I'm kind of banning now. Why is anybody bothering with Sevco?
Right, well, why should we?
Exactly.
Right.
All right.
RTD2's back.
That's you never
Right, guys, calling that a night.
Just hang on.
Sorry. No. I hung up with Jason. It's my fault. I'll bring him back in. Paul Larkin's gone too. He just quit today. Not that. What happened? Adding it back in, don't worry. Who's still on? Tommy's still on?
Hello?
The last guy we have in.
What are you doing?
Here, we're both drunk. I mean, it's not my fault.
Oh my God.
I need to get rid of Celtic Dreams because that's just ridiculous. They're not picking up now. Sing. Start singing.
They're bolted. It's time to wrap it up, man.
They quit.
Just hang up when they just do the email and that. We'll do it anyway, man.
Paul Larkin's offline. That doesn't matter.
Just hang up and just.
It's the usual ramshackle idea. It's the homeboy show.
We had the email with the guy wanting to sell tickets to the bands on this weekend.
Yes, we're gonna read that now. Tommy, can we cut you off, mate?
I'm still here.
We're gonna wrap it up.
God bless, lads. Thank you for letting me in.
Always a pleasure to have you, mate. Always a pleasure. Always welcome.
Thanks, man.
God bless you.
Hail, mate.
Bye.
Bye.
Say slam.
Son.
That's the end of the Homeboys Live Bunning Show. This has been a great show, I think. I don't know.
Just got a couple of announcements.
Go ahead.
You've got the emails.
I know. I'm just pulling them up for you.
Not that one. The other one I sent.
Which one?
About the band that were
Oh, the
playing
band, yeah,
Cowden
okay.
Beef or something.
Cowden Beef, Flying Colin presents Spirit of Freedom live on the 1st September. That's next Saturday. Doors open at 8 o'clock.
Saturday coming. This
Saturday coming, yeah. Saturday coming, yeah. Doors open at 8 p.m. at the Royal Oak in
Loch Gelly.
Loch Gelly.
Yeah.
That's a tongue twister. Tickets are £8 each. Interested in tickets, email for details at Freeldog. It's FRIELDOG67 at yahoo.co.uk, or speak to one of the column members at the Inverness game on Saturday, which is gone.
That was because I was meant to do this on Friday on the way over.
Because you're a
it's
logistical genius.
But the details are still legitimate. Like, it's this
Yes, the show's happening. Who's playing?
Spirit of Freedom.
Spirit of Freedom are playing on Saturday in the Royal Oak in Loch Gelly. Tickets are £8 each. Go and get this revs out of you.
Yep.
I mean, that's where it belongs. In a club, in a band. We're all done here. This has been a good show, and I want to thank everybody for listening. I want to thank my daughter, who will say Slan.
Slan.
My daughter Lucia will say Slan. Harper.
We apologise for the few wee muck-ups.
Apologise for the break, and I'm going to choke somebody at Vodafone tomorrow.
And the 3 minutes of dead there.
Yeah, and here, listen. That's why we're the show we are, because it's that.
Okay.
It's that unprofessional. People love it. We may as well be at a pub. We should buy a pub.
We should buy a pub.
Called the HomeBhoys.
And start up a newspaper.
Why don't you go back to Scotland and get a loan?
I'm wanted.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Anyway, listen, thank you very much. By the way, we're going to finish with what we usually finish with, which is...
A boy?
No. Hold on. We're going to finish with A Boy, which is the song I wrote for... Bobby Hughes. And please go and buy it, because all the money goes to York Health Sick Kids Hospital. And, you know...
My daddy's great at writing songs.
My daughter will back me up on that.
Yep.
So,
she knows what she's talking about.
Please go and buy the song. The report will come through how much money we've made in the next couple of weeks. And the more you buy, the more money these kids will get. And the stronger Barbie's memory will be. I mean, Barbie's just inspired us all on the internet. And if anybody doesn't believe in message boards or any of this stuff, or anything that's going on, well, you're just nuts. Because it's working. It's working. We're in the middle of a massive, massive change in how we see things and how we communicate. Please buy A Boy. It's 79p, or it's on iTunes. Ernie Boy said it's on iTunes. Just iTunes Joe McKenna, and you'll find me. And that's all I got to say.
Yep. Thank you. Gurmagat.
Gurmagat.
Hail, hail.
Hail, hail.
Cold grey morn on a Glasgow street, a young boy in torn clothing has a ball at his feet. He shouts, "Daddy, I'll play for Celtic, I'm gonna be a superstar." He says, "Go out there and get it, son, show the jungle who you are." "Daddy, I'll be a striker, I'll be deadly round the box, I'll win the treble, conquer Europe, and score the winner at Ibrox." He was a boy, and he'd always wanted to be a boy. He was a boy, and he'd always wanted to be a boy. He goes pushing through the turnstiles with the old man by his side. He hears stories of Brother Walford and the day John Thompson died, of Tully and of Johnson and of Caesar and Jock Stein. And being captain in the huddle would always be his childhood dream. But time had moved so quickly and his dreams are way back when. And the old man's seat sits empty. They say he died stopping at 10. He was a boy, and He'd always wanted to be a boy. He was a boy. And he'd always wanted to be a boy. Now his own son stands beside him, and among the sea of green, he shows promise with the football, and he grows to live the dream. Come his granddad's anniversary, he's Captain Derby Day. He issues orders to the huddle, wearing the number of McStay. The crowd, they roar around him as the ball comes to his feet. He drops his shoulder like McCourt, only the keeper now to beat. He runs to the old jungle, his finger pointed to the skies. He pumps his fist towards an old man, and there's tears in both their eyes. Now he's a boy, 'cause he'd always wanted to be a boy. He was a boy. He always wanted be a boy, like Tommy Burns in the big road.